hope you all are having a wonderful day. We're going to continue on with our shop build project. We're working on making this 24 by 24 garage into a nice workspace to do projects in. So we have two big projects we need to finish today, plus a bunch of little ancillary stuff to finish out. The first one is integrating a router into our table saw. The second project will be epoxying the workbench that we made. We just pieced that together from scraps we had from a torn down wall here on the property and cobbled this thing together, but we're gonna epoxy it. It's gonna be a really nice workbench when we're done. All right, let's get to it. Well, this is the table saw that we're working with today. I bought this table saw from a friend that was needing to get rid of it. This is a Grizzly G0691. I don't know if they make this table saw. They make some version of this currently. So I want to put a router in this portion of the table here. I guess I just have to figure out how to do that, right? So this is my current router table and it's falling apart. It has been for some time. Made with like a HDF or MDF or something. It's all swelled up. It wasn't super good quality to begin with, and it's had a rough life. I've done some massive projects on this thing, don't get me wrong. We built cabinets and doors for our cabin that we had with this, but it's had a rough life, and it's time either to replace it, or in my case, I'm going to simply integrate it into one of my existing tools, which is my table saw. That'll be nice because I'll have easy access to this all the time, and it'll be just tucked away in the bottom of my table saw when I don't need it. But when I do, I'll actually have this nice workbench to work with, which is what I'm most excited about. Sometimes I'm running large projects through on this little rickety table. It defeats the purpose, and then I have to go with a freehand router. So anyhow, all right, enough jabbering. I'm excited to get this done. Let's do it.
Give me love, give me all your love, oh, 'cause I want you. Makes me feel this way, don't know what you do. Hold my hand, could you hold my hand, look me in the eyes. You and me, yeah, that's all I need, and I'll be alright. I'll be right here, I swear that I'll stay here with you. Hold me closer, I wanna stay here with you. All that we have is each other now. I promise I won't leave your side. Be who you are and you'll be enough. If you're giving me your love, giving me your love. All that we have is each other now. You won't leave my side. I hope who I am is enough for you. If I'm giving you my love, giving you my love, Tell me what you wanna do. I'll do anything. As long as I can be here with you, everything's alright. I'll be right here, I swear that I'll stay here with you.
All right, well, good news, we got this thing working. We had a little bit of fun because all of a sudden my switch stopped working. I took it apart, it was all caked with sawdust and everything in there. And then I was thinking, I was like, you know what, this thing had started working intermittently before I had parked it last time. So while I was taking that apart, one of the outlets busted. You know, it's had a rough life, but one still works. That's all I need. I'm only running this router, so we're back in action. Switch is working again, and we'll get this thing finally dialed back in, put together. So I'll probably make it like a slip over fence so I can use this as well if I have something without a bearing on it. Usually I'm running something with a bearing on the top of it, but every once in a while I'm not. This will be awesome having this heavy duty fence. The little cheesy one that was on the old one just didn't cut it most of the time, and it liked to flex and move a lot of times halfway through a project. So awesome having something heavy duty like this that can handle some of the bigger projects that I do. I know they make plates and things you can buy and put in as inserts and things, but I figured, well, I'll just use what I got, spend $0 and modify this, and it's going to work just fine. Anyhow, I'm very happy with this. This is one of the major things that I wanted to get done. It gets rid of a tabletop shop tool and integrates it right into my table saw, but still is out of the way of my normal operations. So very happy to be able to put this in. All right, I guess the next project will be moving over to that countertop over there and working on epoxying it. All right, I've got the big cracks caulked on this thing, and I know that's not something that you typically do would caulk before epoxy, but this thing is pieced together with scraps and bits and pieces of 2x4. There's giant holes everywhere because these are all twisted and bent and have been reused at least once or twice. So I have the feeling that I would just be pouring epoxy and it would just be running everywhere otherwise. I'm not super concerned about it. It's just going to be a workbench. It's going to get beat up every day anyway. So I have the feeling when we're done, you won't be able to really tell if anything was caulked or epoxy. And I think it'll all blend together well. If not, oh well, it's a workbench in the shop. We're gonna let that cure up and then we'll mix up some epoxy and have at it. Well, I'm at the giant wood pile today, getting rid of all the stuff from the shop. Whew, it is warm out there again today. We were cooling down for a little bit, but it's getting hot again. Got the wood unloaded in the giant wood lot down here, and headed back and load up some more. All right, I think I'm ready to go on my tabletop. They had gallon jugs of this stuff down at Lowe's, so I grabbed one of those. They have 2 tubes of hardener with it, so I think got a measuring lines inside. I think I'm gonna measure up half of this. Probably shouldn't do more than a quart at a time, but I'm planning on just slathering a bunch on and then kind of scraping it around. So we're gonna see if that goes well. Hopefully it does, and I'm not left over with some a bin full of hardened resin. Anyhow, I think we're ready to go. So I got everything kind of prepped and ready to go. So I'm not running around scrambling trying to find stuff. I think we just do it.
Firefly, how short is life? I dreamt we had more than 20. I have seen this before, and I have lived more than plenty. Now lay me in the ocean. Why lullabies? I've used my time. Now lend me to the ocean. Sing my songs when I'm gone.
Well, it is a beautiful day outside today. Birds are flying around. We got half a dozen buzzards hanging out, flying over the valley there. I'm sure they're onto something good to clean up there. Let's check and see how, oh, there's some more. Hopefully they're not all circling for me. There's a bunch of them up there. Let's check out and see how the epoxy did last night. So I did 2 coats last night. I put first coat down, let it sit for a couple hours, came back out, put another coat on here. It's nice and thick. Everything is very much hardened up at this point. I did wear my full face mask last night. Of course, I'm reading the instructions like, oh, you shouldn't, you know, it's extremely hazardous, blah, 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 you shouldn't breathe it in. So I'm like, oh, I should probably wear my mask. And it was very, very caustic smelling. So we put down all that caulking, and I was worried you would see it all over the place, the difference between the epoxy and the caulking. Honestly, you can't really tell the seams, that it just looks like there's more epoxy in there. So I was very happy with that. One of the main reasons I wanted to do an epoxy countertop here in the shop is that once it cures, it's flame resistant, you know, heat resistant, that sort of stuff. So if I'm grinding or doing anything on top of it, it's not likely to catch on fire, as opposed to just having that bare wood countertop. So hopefully I'll never be in that position. I do have fire extinguishers all over the shop if something happens, but just better safe than sorry, right? Overall, I'm very happy with how this turned out. It's fairly shiny at the moment because it's fresh epoxy. We're gonna scuff it up, we're gonna use it. It's a workbench, right? So I'm not super worried about that aspect of it. It will definitely get some use. We've gotten 2 big projects done. Now there's just a bunch more cleanup to kind of finish up this shop and get it to a point where I feel happy with it. We still have a ton to do down the road with this shop. We gotta insulate, we've gotta cover up all the walls, make things look a little nicer. Eventually I'd like to get a nice tool cabinet, and I can put a bunch of the tools that are kind of out and exposed into that. For now, we're just slowly chipping away with projects, trying not to spend too much money out here, getting this thing up and operational, and I think we're sitting pretty good where we're at right now. We have a little bit more to do on this. I'm gonna keep chugging along on it, and we'll see how far along we can get. We'll get this thing cleaned up, primed, and ready to go for the next project.
I know sorrow, I know pain. Let them have me if I'm ready. All them skies know our names. When it's time, burn me steady. Then lay me in the ocean. Why lullabies, I've used my time. Now lend me to the ocean. Sing my songs when I'm gone. Ashes rise, ashes rise.
Catch up next.